Maynard, it's been over 25 years since a band called Puscifer appeared on episode one,
Whoa.
season one, episode one of Mr. Show. What do you remember about filming that sketch?
I remember being all in to the character that was accompanying Ronnie Dobbs in an alley and realizing that we sat down in urine and broken glass, having shot our scene in an actual alley.
Weren't we shooting like right near your studio?
Yeah,
right
right near the studio.
Right?
Yeah,
and we were stealing shots. We had no money, so we were stealing all those shots. And
yeah,
that's the treat about, because you guys were right off Hollywood Boulevard, like just
yeah,
shit.
yeah. Like
gross.
all the cobble is grouted with bum dung.
What's the current incarnation of Puscifer all about, and how, if at all, does it relate to the original?
As I mentioned, the original incarnation of Puscifer was just basically me trying to figure out ways to explore more of that sketch comedy approach. Mm-hmm. And it actually predates the Mr. Show episode. It was actually some of the characters that I played on the stage at Tantrum. And because Laura had her boyfriend Vince was supposed to show up and close the show, and that was kind of the running joke. He's a musician who never really showed up.
Right.
So I became Vince, but every time Vince came up, it was some different thing because he couldn't get his head straight on what he wanted to do. So one was kind of like a dead or alive, wind me up, baby, wind me up, instead of, just we dressed like dead or alive. And then the next one was the Umlaut, the only improvisational hardcore band in Los Angeles. But these were all kind of under the moniker of Puscifer. So everything we did was kind of a Puscifer take.
I want to make sure everybody knows that was not, Puscifer was not something that Bob and I wrote. That was your thing.
An already existing thing.
Yeah.
At Tantrum. So that was kind of like, that was the first incarnation of it. And because it was just the whole nature of it at Tantrum was all over the map with what Vince doesn't really know what he wanted to do. And I think then the moment that it kind of solidified to go, oh, we're gonna do this more at some point, we're gonna figure out a way to do this, was when Laura and I did the cover of Tom Morello and Chris's Country Boner. Mm-hmm. We did that song Country Boner at a Keith Morris benefit at the Whiskey. And so I was like, okay, this is great. Wigs, stupid country music, we did all these Circle Jerk songs, covers as country songs. And so all the stuff that Vince did, or, this character did, Billy D ended up being the character that came out of it, that ended up being the cornerstone of us pursuing Puscifer further.
That's about as great, fascinating, and in-depth origin story as I've heard. I'm not joking. That's a really cool.
Better than the X-Men, the Wolverine one. If I get really close, that's really big. But that's not very big. No, okay, yeah. So not.
No, but it's more.
It's more.
Comedy is obviously a big part of Puscifer, and also Tool with Bill Hicks. Who are your favorite comics besides me, of course, and how have they influenced your work?
There are other comics other than David Cross. I mean, it's pretty interesting watching the progression of comedy since Bill Hicks. Like some of the stuff that Bill did, he couldn't do today. Like there's a bunch of things that no, you're done. You're canceled. So it's amazing to see how everyone treads that fine line of pushing up against what you're not supposed to say, but being acceptable, right up, rubbing right up against the edge.
I would argue that people aren't. A lot of people aren't necessarily being careful. They're about crossing any kind of ideological line, but they're still doing it. But the reaction is different. I don't know that it's like somebody like when I think of like Chappelle or Bill Burr, or some people who are more, or Anthony Jeselnik, or people who are like, that's part of what they do. I don't get the sense that they're censoring. They're just having to deal with a bunch of shit now. Do you feel like audiences process music, comedy, art at large differently now? Has it become harder to be provocative, or are people actually too easily provoked now?
I think it's that. I think they're just too easily provoked. It's almost like the invention of the smartphone has, it escalated quickly to your brain is now polarized this or that.
Hmm.
You have to pick a side when you know full well that the gray area is easily 90%, 80% of the world. It's those final 5% far right and left that are so fucking loud, and the middle ends up being that thing that ends up being canceling the gray and ends up just being black and white, because you have to pick a side, and we lead conversations with a baited statement to start an argument. Every Twitter is like, you know I really 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 enjoy planting and growing flowers, and if you don't, fuck you. Like, it's immediately like you've immediately set up the fucking fight. And I think we forgot how to fucking talk to each other, face to face, maybe. And there's
Yeah,
a
100% agree. 100% agree that it's that and the knee jerk reaction to it that's based on emotion, and context is gets dissolved, and it just becomes this thing that happened, this thing you did, this thing you said, without any context to it, and no discussion, no debate, no, and people aren't interested in that anymore, unfortunately.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lack of, I feel like, again, going back to my father and my stepmother, like that, growing up in the education system. I feel like I've watched through their eyes and my own, that disintegration of what used to be a huge part of schools, like that debate team.
Yeah.
You can't come to the table not having done your research for your side of the argument,
Yeah.
right? And it wasn't never really meant to for you to pick a side. It was just meant to see who presented a better argument, for the medal. But like, you could see everyone laid out logical, realistic, factual presentation for you to make a choice.
Or
Um,
even have your mind changed about something. Like if
right.
you come into
Be
something
open to
with
it.
this hard viewpoint, and then you have this discussion, this debate,
Right.
this exchange of ideas, and then you change your mind based on that.
Change your mind. If you get new information, it should be fairly easy to take a step back, assume you might be wrong, do the research. And that's what think for yourself, question authority means. You might come back around and go, oh yeah, they were right about that. But step back, yeah, question it, because that's what you should do as a human being. Don't take everything at face value. Change your
Sure.
mind when
Yeah.
new actual information comes in. I think there's just such a flood of information and disinformation and just flippant reactionary information out there that you just shut down and just pick a side, and then you just pick your team, do or die.
I got to jump off because I got another thing.
That
And,
is such bullshit.
like, I'm promoting this new special, um, which, by the way, is called "I'm from the Future," and you can get it exclusively at officialdavidcross.com.
Wow.
Anyway,
Wow.
but I
Wow.
will, you know, I mean, I'm doing this for a reason too, Maynard. All right, man. Well, thank you for doing this. Thanks to the folks at Revolver, and always good to talk to you. And hopefully, I'll see you at some point. If you're in New York for a couple days, let me know.
I will find you.
All right, man. Good to talk to you as always.
Peace.
Thank you. Love to the kids.
I'm out.